WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly,
the longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Talking wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that's what this show's about. That's what we've been doing for over 16 years.
No. It's about sports entertainment.
And now here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon and Lucas DeSangro.
Will you stop marking out over there?
Sorry.
Move over, kid. I'm taking your microphone.
You're shallow. You know that?
I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. I don't remember what the hell I do anymore.
Shut up!
There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, flying solo for the moment. Lucas is going to endeavor to call in as he is on his way down to the Monster Factory to get beat up by a bunch of kids for a birthday party coming up at the top of the hour. Fun stuff, to say the least. We got quite a bit to get into this week, including a little something that I'm going to delve into on the earlier side here. It was actually something that I, in poking around on the interwebs yesterday, had seen was just recently released, and something that certainly, well, it requires a good amount of talking points, or it brings up a certainly good amount of talking points, courtesy of former WCW and WCW head as well as WWE General Manager Eric Bischoff. Yes, Eric had recently spoke in suburban Chicago at a TEDx talk. That's one of those sharing of ideas things that generally tends to leave you enlightened and are, well, rather insightful, to say the least. And he had talked about comparing the news media to professional wrestling, and well, he had quite a bit to say about it, and I thought it was really intriguing and had some interesting points to it here, and well, it leads to a lot of different, speculation, things of that sort. So we'll get that going here for now, and then that'll leave ample time to be able to react to it at the end of it here. So here is Eric Bischoff from a couple of weeks ago, although it was uploaded onto YouTube, courtesy of TEDx, just yesterday.
Is that all you got? Seriously, I'm a little disappointed. No, it's not funny. I flew all the way here from Los Angeles. It took me an entire freaking day to get here. And I get this Pavlovian dog response because you feel like you're supposed to be polite. Well, that's even worse. No, you guys, this is not funny. I am one of the most important people you're going to see on this stage today. And by far the best looking. That's not funny either. What are you smiling about? Look at you. No, you want to come up here and take me off the stage? By all means. Jump. I'll wait. Naperville. I heard Arthur talking about what a great town this is. This town sucks. The only people that think Naperville is a great town are people that have never been anywhere else. Then it's a great town. No problem. I think the town sucks. In this building, Arthur called me and he said, Eric, we've got this great venue. You're going to love the look of it. Are you kidding me? Salvation Army not available, maybe? I've played in bigger buildings and nicer buildings than this in Biloxi, Mississippi. Naperville. I see what you can wipe that look off your face, lady. Because I know what you're thinking. I'm busy tonight. Forget about it. All right, I'm glad this part is over. I really, really am. Now, I gotta be honest. I've been doing this for a long time. I told Arthur earlier when I told him what I wanted to do, I wanted to give him a heads up so he didn't send security out here and drag me off the stage. Not that that hasn't happened before either, but I wanted to give him a heads up. And I told him what I was gonna do. And I said, you know, he said, are you comfortable doing it? I said, well, I'm really comfortable making people hate me. I've just never done it in an environment like this before. So here we are. Now I want to ask a question though. Out of all of you in this room, is there anybody here, and be honest, is there anybody here that wanted to see security come and drag me off the stage? A few of you. I still got it. Damn. It's kind of like a golf swing or riding a bike. Once you figure it out, it's hard to lose it. But had I continued and gone further in trying to make you all hate me, until the point where somebody actually did come out from the back and drag me backstage and maybe have me arrested and spend the night in Naperville's finest jail, if I would have done that, then the very next person that would have come out here would have more than likely gotten a standing ovation. And that means I would have done my job. Because if Arthur would have called me up 4 or 5 months ago when he did and said, look, Eric, we've got this thing called TED Talk. It's a lot of fun. It's great opportunity. You know, some really smart people. You'll hear ideas. You'll gain experience. But I don't want to do it the way we normally do it. See, what I want to do, Eric, is I want to format my TEDx Naperville show or event to be like a professional wrestling event. I don't want people to think, I want people to feel. That would have been right up my alley, because that's what I do. Or at least that's what I've done for the last 30 years. About 2006, I wrote a book. It came out, I think we made New York Times bestseller list for about, 45 minutes. We barely made it at number 16, but we made it. And it sure as hell sounds great when I do something like this. And I can talk about being on the New York Times bestseller list. I don't always tell people that it only lasted for about 45 minutes, but I thought I'd share that with you. The book really followed my journey and what I learned in 30 years of being in the professional wrestling industry. People don't realize just how enduring professional wrestling is in our culture. One of the first people I ever worked for, Vern Gagne. Vern was a professional wrestling promoter based out of Minneapolis. He hired me. For what reason, I have no idea, but he did. And Vern used to promote a lot here in Chicago. He had wrestlers like Dick the Bruiser, and Nick Bockwinkel, and Ray Stevens, and the Crusher, and he was a big fixture here. They had wrestling matches at Wrigley Field, for crying out loud. And wrestling has been around for a long, long time. In fact, when it comes to content, and the content that we've all become familiar with throughout our lives, professional wrestling and news are the two most enduring forms of content that there are. And before the night is over, I'm going to try to convince you that they're far more similar than you think. Now, one of the things that I learned working for Vern was, in fact, it was one of the first things he taught me, I remember, because for a long time, Vern didn't want me anywhere near the back door of professional wrestling, the backstage area. That was off limits. It was a secret. It was kind of like magicians. They like to keep their secrets. So he didn't share a lot of things with me. But one of the things he did share with me as I started producing for him was that when it comes to the audience, it doesn't really matter if they love a wrestler or hate them, as long as they feel passionately one way or the other. Business would be good. I want you to remember that. As long as the audience feels passionately one way or the other, business would be good. Now, one of the things I talked about in the book is professional wrestling. In fact, right here in Chicago, it was one of the first weekly network television shows back in the 1950s, in the beginning of the television age. And it went from there to being the #1 local television show long before cable came around. In any city in the United States, professional wrestling was the #1 most watched form of content in any given market. Cable television came along sometime in the 70s, 80s, whenever it was. Professional wrestling became, and still is to this day, the most watched form of entertainment every single week on cable television. The digital age, which is only a few years old, the WWE has 25 million fans around the world. 25 million fans. They have a market cap of $6 billion, and they trade on the New York Stock Exchange for right around $75, $78, depending on the day. How did it get so big? How did professional wrestling become such a big part of our culture? It's simple. They don't make you think. It's not like a TED Talk. They make you feel. What does that have to do with the news media that we see today? What is with the news today? All of us are exposed to it, right? I mean, most of us, if you're like me at least, I'm kind of addicted to it, but I try as hard as I can not to watch it because it upsets me. And it wasn't until after I got out of the wrestling business and I retired that I realized that the news media and professional wrestling use much the same formula, and politicians as well. They don't want you to think, they want you to feel. And as long as you feel passionately one way or the other, business is good. And right now, business is very, very good for the news media that covers politics because of that. And what happened? It never used to be that way. Now, I'm 63 years old. I've been around for a little while, and I've always been interested in current events. As I got older, politics. And I don't recall seeing it as bad as it is today. At least the news media back in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, at least they tried to pretend that they were objective. They tried to pretend at least, and most of them did a great job, they tried to pretend at least that there was an integrity within journalism and lines they wouldn't cross, things they wouldn't do. They would report both sides of the stories and let the audience or the reader decide how they felt about a given issue or personality or politician. But that's gone. And why is that? Why did that happen? It seems to me, at least, that it's really just begun happening over the last 10 years, 8 years, is when it's gotten really bad. Where what you're watching on television isn't so much informing you and making you think, it's making you feel and pissing you off more often than not, because that's what they want to do. It's called cheap heat in the wrestling business. It's easy. Just like me coming out here and making fun of people, or inviting this gentleman to come up here and try to drag me off the stage if he was man enough, that type of thing. That's called cheap heat. It's easy to get people to react to that kind of thing. A lot easier to get them to react to that than asking them to think. So that's what they do. When cable television came around, I worked for Ted Turner, by the way, for about 7 years. One of the best times of my life. Ted Turner launched CNN. At that time, first cable news outlet, 24 hours, international news. That was Ted's vision. Ted believed he could bring the world closer together as a result of that. But here's what happened. Fox TV followed him. MSNBC followed the business model. And what they realized is it's a hell of a lot cheaper to put 3 or 4 talking heads in the studio talking about the news and giving opinions about the news than it is going out and actually reporting it. So now what we see across the boards, and this is a bipartisan problem. This is a media issue. This isn't a one party or the other issue, because they're all guilty of it. So now what you see when you're looking for information are talking heads arguing. No matter what it is, they're going to find a way to argue about it. And if they don't have something to argue about, they're going to reach in a little bag of tricks. They're going to pull out a poll, because there's more polls now than there are anything else. There's a new poll every day. And it will tell you whatever you want it to tell you. It falls into the liars, numbers can lie and liars use numbers. That's a poll. Because those polls provide talking points for the agenda of any particular network. Give somebody something to argue about. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. What if I told you, and I mean this sincerely, what if I told you right now that there is a very good chance many of you in this room will vote for a professional wrestler to be the next president of the United States? You laugh? Donald Trump. Donald Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame. Let that sink in. Now, he wasn't a professional wrestler. But again, when we're talking about the power of media and how it makes you feel instead of how it makes you think, just recognize that not only is the current president of the United States in the WWE Hall of Fame, his member of his cabinet, Linda McMahon, the former CEO of WWE, and a member of President Trump's cabinet who heads up the Small Business Administration, she's right there with him. It's not that far-fetched. Just think about that. Now, my goal here wasn't really to educate you about professional wrestling, although I'll talk your ear off later on over a cocktail if you'd like to after the show. But my goal here is that hopefully the next time you're watching the news and you find yourself getting angry about what you see, that you realize that that's exactly the way they want you to feel. They don't want you to think. They want you to feel, just like Vern Gagne did, just like Vince McMahon did, just like I did for 30 years. And like I did when I first came out here and challenged this gentleman to jump on stage and knock me out. I wasn't trying to make him think, I was trying to make him feel. And if we recognize that we're inundated daily with information designed not to make us think but make us feel, once you recognize it's a little bit like an alcoholic or a drug addict. You can't fix it till you know you've got the problem and you're willing to admit it. And I'm asking, I ask myself, I do this to myself every single day. I get up out of bed, I have a cup of coffee, I take my dog for a hike. I've got a great dog, by the way. Her name's Nikki. I wish she could be here. But after I'm done hiking with my dog, I sit down and I catch up on what's going on, in the news for the day. And I remind myself before I turn on the television to not let them make me angry, because the minute you get angry, you quit thinking. The minute all of your energy is focused on what you feel, you stop thinking. And by the way, if I'm right, and you all do vote for a former professional wrestler to become the next president of the United States, it might just be history repeating itself, and it might not be all that bad. Because believe it or not, Abraham Lincoln, one of this country's greatest presidents, was at one time, before he became a lawyer, a professional wrestler. It can happen. Thank you all very much.
So there you go, Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff, bringing an interesting TED Talk to the mix and a little food for thought. So we're going to go ahead and let that digest a moment. We're going to come back. We've got Ed from Northeast on the other side, as well as our good old cohort Lucas, live via satellite. All that and more here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hi, this is Chris Irmer, the host of Upwards here on WBCB. Each Tuesday at 1, we feature health and wellness tips with Maureen Solomon from the Philadelphia Protestant Home, the latest consumer protection news and info from consumer advocate Mike Bannon, and so much more. Find out about fundraisers, big and small, volunteer opportunities, local entertainment, arts and culture stuff, all that and more on Upwards. Join us Tuesdays at 1 on WBCB.
We hop to it.
As the year end is here and we celebrate the holidays, Joey says, let's remember those who are in need and let's give in the spirit of the season. And we are giving to Bucks County. So, to say thanks to the people of Bucks County, we continue our holiday roof giveaway. If you know of a family in need who is facing tough times, call us today and nominate them for our holiday roof giveaway. We'll provide the details for awarding a residential roof to a family in need. You see, we live here too, and we're your neighbors, and we appreciate the opportunity to serve the folks of Bucks County, and we give back. Let's remember those in need this holiday season and reach out to help. That's something we can all hop to. Call today, we're a hop away. Tell them, Joey.
We hop to it.
Hop to our website, abrooksconstruction.com.
When someone hears the words, "You have cancer," it's one of the darkest moments in their life. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer by uniting survivors, patients, and supporters in the cause to end cancer. We form a community of hope, raising funds in support of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. The discoveries made by LLS-supported research have led to breakthrough treatments for many cancers and other serious diseases. When we walk, cancer runs. Join the movement to end cancer today. Visit us at lightthenight.org.
It's got the Luigi death stare from Fearon, so we might have to...
I didn't give you the Luigi death stare. That's not true.
You're breaking kayfabe.
Breaking kayfabe. Gonna break something else during this commercial.
There we go. That's what I like to see.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Are we getting into that controversy again?
I know how it feels, and it's not fun.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you. Lucas will be joining us momentarily over the phone, but first we're going to go to the phones. He's been hanging for quite a while here, giving us a look at the local scene. Here's Ed from Northeast Philly.
Good afternoon. I'll make it short for Lucas.
Oh, you don't have to do him any favor. No, go. No, I do appreciate it, though, Ed. Go right ahead.
Anyway, Monday, December 3rd, John Cena will be on Channel 10. It's the Ellen Show.
Oh, what a bit of an interesting, different twist there. John Cena on Ellen.
Yes. I think he's going to talk about that new movie he's in.
That is entirely possible. And wouldn't be the first time that he'd be on the Ellen Show.
Yes. I think that's his second time in the last couple months. He has a lot of movies out.
Well, I do know, I think it was earlier this year that it was back in the springtime, because John Cena he missed his high school prom, so Ellen and Nikki Bella kind of set up a surprise one on the show back in the springtime. So that was earlier this year that he was on.
I think he did a tour back at WrestleMania, promoting WrestleMania, I think.
That was right around that same time frame, right around the end of March. So the two were co-related.
Yes. Cage of Death next weekend.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot going on next weekend. Which makes sense, as not a lot of events are going to want to run right around the holidays. So we've got that first CZW coming up, and I was going to say, I think there's also a Chikara event next Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, there's the convention and House of Hardcore.
Oh, golly, yeah, the convention, House of Hardcore. So next Saturday is a pretty heavily booked kind of day.
Yes. And WrestlePro is in New Jersey, too. Dan Math and Sam Callahan will be on that card at 8 p.m. bell time.
Oh, gosh, I'm trying to remember, is that also...
That's December 7th.
That's the Friday, the 7th. That's
Yeah,
right. They're going to be in
fine,
Union.
yeah.
Okay. I know it was all around that weekend. So, yeah, next weekend's a pretty jam-packed weekend.
And they have a good lineup for icons. They have Big Cass, Renee. What's his name now? My mind went blank.
Oh, no worries. I was going to say I was pulling it up here as well because I'm having a similar blank moment here. But I see Big Cass, Renee Young's going to be there,
Renee Young.
Bob Backlund, Charlie Caruso, Bob Holly,
Dino
Hardcore
Brown.
Holly.
Dino Brown.
Oh, yeah,
Johnny.
definitely D'Lo. Gangrel, Jeff Jarrett, Tito Santana, Bully Ray, Gail Kim, Hornswoggle. That'll be great for our one of our salesmen, Bill Redner. He loves Hornswoggle. The Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Did you say Tito Santana?
Yes, Tito Santana's in there. Duke the Dumpster Drosy. There's a throwback from the past.
Ernest Miller.
Yeah, the Cat, Ernest Miller. Oscar from Men on a Mission. Barry Horowitz is going to be there. The Gangsters. Dutch Mantell. Franchise Shane Douglas. Jerry Lynn as well. Also Justin Credible, Mikey Whipwreck.
Minus Edge. Edge will pull now.
Yeah, well, I didn't see. I know he was advertised before, but I guess something had occurred. And also going just outside of the world of wrestling, former Phillies great outfielder great Lenny Dykstra. Nail's going to be there.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, so not exactly Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, but we'll certainly take it.
Not to mention what they're having at George's the night before with the autograph signings.
Yeah, that's certainly another biggie. That's going to be Friday night, December 7th from 7 to 9 p.m. from our good friends over at George's Cards and Collectibles, where this Friday from 7 to 9 p.m., 3 different signings. TNA Hall of Famer Gail Kim, former WWE star and current commentator Funaki, and indie star Britt Baker will all be at George's Neshaminy Mall location, and that is one of 2 locations for all of your cards and collectibles needs. Their original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown, as well as the aforementioned Neshaminy Mall in the movie theater wing. For more info, go to georgescollectibles.com and follow George's Cards and Collectibles on Facebook.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, since you brought them up, I figured I'd get that out of the way here.
Yeah.
It's like the old you bet your life. You know, you said George's. It's like saying the secret word, and the duck dropped down, and I had to do the live read. All righty, yeah. Well, thank you so much for chiming in. We'll get to
live next week. I'll be live next week.
Live next week.
Yeah.
Oh, live on location at the Collector Fest.
Yeah,
okay, looking forward to that.
All right.
All right, Ed. Thanks for chiming in here.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Oh, wow. So that will certainly be a treat as well. And speaking of treats, let's get over to this sweet treat, otherwise known as Lucas. Hello.
Hello. Oh, you didn't need to call me a sweet treat. That's too nice. I appreciate it, though.
You know what? It's a 5-year callback to when you had called me sweetie.
Oh, let's not talk about that.
Let's not go there.
It's like Spaceballs. It's like skip past that part.
Skip past that, yes.
Part again. One of the greatest fourth wall breaks in the history of movies.
And there were certainly many, that's for sure.
And Mel Brooks is responsible for a lot of them. I think
this is true as well. When will them be now? Soon.
Soon.
Anyway.
Whoa.
So I know you got a chance to listen to at least some of it here, as I know you're prepping down there at the factory, doing some yeoman's work there, letting yourself get beat up by some kids.
Yeah. Good old birthday
party.
Yeah, birthday party. Ah.
Yeah, I know. We got 25 minutes here. Don't. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. Although you're getting it out of the way just in case you aren't going to be around to say it. We'll put it that way here. Because I know. Well, I was going to say hopefully they'll be nice and let you.
You have a litany of birthday drops, and then you have 2 special ones. The birthdays. Which is Ted's personal favorite.
Yes.
And last week, which was birthdays. Yeah, follow that one, kid.
I still have to pull that one up, actually, the second one.
You should have.
Yeah, well.
Like special edition.
It was only a week ago.
I know.
Yeah. It's In the words of Shrek from the first movie, it's on my to-do list. So anyway, after having heard a little bit of that from Eric Bischoff, what do you think? It's something that we've been able to stew over here a little bit, that the news media, regardless of side affiliation, anything of that nature, to give that disclaimer before there's...
He's 100% correct.
Okay.
I completely agree with Eric Bischoff. It's just, which back in the 90s would have been famous last words. But no, I completely agree with him. The news these days, at least on a major 24-hour network scale, local news, that's always been what it's going to be. They report their news, do a little cute little, someone got a cat out of a tree segment, which we need. You know, it's not like, no, we do.
No, just the way that you put it entertained me. I chuckled at that.
Like I was either going to go that route or look at that. That's Squirrel Can Water Ski from Anchorman.
Ha, yes.
You know, there's those special interest stories, but then there's the reason that 24-hour cable news is awful, regardless of which side, because they don't do what the news used to do, is just report the news. There's only so much you can report on one story before you start to editorialize it, and then it doesn't become news anymore. It becomes opinion. News is a fact-based, program. You go by the facts, what you had. You go from credible sources, and then so once you go into like roundtable discussions, it's not news anymore. It's let me put my 2 cents in on this, and then someone says something controversial, and then someone goes on a rant on Twitter, and it's completely to get a reaction.
It spiderwebs outward.
Yeah, and then you lose sight of what you're reporting on, which is not what you're supposed to do as a news person. You don't spend so much money to go to a school to learn how to broadcast and read from a teleprompter and all of this interning and all this other stuff. You don't spend that much money to just do something you could have done on a 30-minute rant on Facebook. There's no, you're going to go and be a broadcaster, then be a broadcaster for a news station. Report the facts.
Well, I think the key word to take from the late, great Bobby the Brain Heenan is to be a broadcast journalist. And the journalist part seems to be what is what's lacking.
Yeah. Broadcast journalism. It seems like everyone's using William Randolph Hearst's version of journalism in the yellow sort. Yellow journalism. Yeah, I had to clarify that one. That could have been really... Oof. Yeah.
Thank you, Twitchy Norton. There you go.
Thank you for taking off that way.
Yeah. That's what can I say? It's picking up what you're putting down.
That's why you're a professional and I'm a co-host.
You're a lovable second banana.
Yes.
So
that's all with say on that.
So with all of that being talked about, especially with Eric alluding to possibly voting for a former wrestler to be in the White House in 2020.
Like The Rock? What are you saying?
Well, it looks like there may be another challenger to have entered the fray. Potentially, not officially, but who is considering.
Bischoff? Was he saying?
No. In this case, it's another WWE Hall of Famer, Jesse Ventura. He told TMZ that he is considering a run for U.S. president and noted that the Green Party has shown some interest in him and that he hasn't made a decision yet, quote, because it's a long time off.
It would be a long time off. We need a wrestler in the White House in 2020 to battle the New World Order. And when I say the New World Order, I don't mean Rothschild and Bilderberg. I mean Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash.
Actually, isn't too bad of we got Twitchy Ventura in the house now.
Thank you, citizen civilian. You haven't been face-to-face with a surface missile like I have. No one delivers the truth from the top rope like I do, Mean Gene and McMahon. And we'll battle that crooked Mean Gene Okerlund, who curses backstage at the Ultimate Warrior.
I don't know what it is today, but you are on entertaining fire today. I know that I tend to Mahoney bust quite a bit, but you're bringing it, and definitely bringing it, even though it's via satellite. But the it that you're bringing is strong.
Now I need to stop because, I feel like I could be like Rich Voss in this sense.
Okay. Well,
just acknowledge that I'm on a roll.
That's when the roll stops. So we'll go back to the story on that here, and that'll be the good way to bring it to a halt here. So he added that, quote, "If I do it, Trump will not have a chance. For one, Trump knows wrestling. He participated in 2 WrestleManias. He knows he can never out."
Participated in 1.5.
No, he was. First of all, Jesse commentated in the first 6 WrestleManias.
Exactly, that's what I meant. I was testing you, Burgundy.
Plus, of course, he was on. He came back for WrestleMania 20, which I'll actually delve into that a little bit here. But he says he knows he can never out-talk a wrestler, and he knows that I'm the greatest talker wrestling's ever had. So if I go for it, he's history, and he knows it.
CM Punk has nothing on me, the same as Jake the Snake Roberts and that Stone Cold Steve Austin. What did they ever say that was so great?
All right, you may want to start to tap the brakes a little bit there.
Yeah, flat tire.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, not quite, but just tap the brakes. You were right on quitting while you were ahead. Plus, Ventura pointed out that WrestleMania is rumored to go to Minneapolis for 2020, and says if WWE was smart, they'd call him up to participate.
If they were smart, they would lose his number.
If they haven't already? I don't know.
I think they have. I'm almost positive they have.
But speaking of WrestleMania, I wonder if that was to happen, if this interview clip from WrestleMania 20 in 2004 would make its way into the debate.
If I were to get back into politics, could I expect your moral and financial support?
100%.
100% if I get back in politics.
You know that. 100%.
You know what? I think that we may need a wrestler in the White House in 2008. Yeah.
More like 2000 late.
Let's get on with Mania.
No, we got to wait on Mania in this case, Jesse.
Donald Trump.
Oh.
Well, there's a pair. Hey, what about a wrestler in the White House? Yeah, and maybe a billionaire as a vice president.
Well, they got it part right. They got the billionaire in the White House.
Yeah.
So that now makes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as well as Jesse Ventura, who have teased the possibility of challenging Donald Trump in 2020.
This really has just become, it really is wrestling. Especially, Bischoff hit it right on the nose. It's about what's the term? Working the crowd, if you will.
Yeah, work the crowd.
Yeah, working the hard cam, if you will. It's not. I'm going a little bit insider. I apologize, but it's just. It really is about entertainment and showmanship more than it is actual policy.
About getting it done. Oh, yeah. Let's not go too much further into that because that's stuff that can be discussed Monday to Friday in this time slot. But I can tell you, because we're at that time, that today's the day to grab a new winter cocktail at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. Oh, and the goodies that they are, that is for sure, as yesterday marked the release of the new winter cocktails at the Broken Goblet. And according to the Night King, quote, "These cocktails are tasty and full of terror," or alcohol. Yeah, the Night King in this case being Kate, one of the bartenders.
Nice.
Yes, they are.
Game of Thrones reference as well.
Oh, of course. The image that is on the Goblet's Facebook page, you should definitely check it out. But you can head on over and try such delicious treats as the Christmas Shelly, the Apple Mule, the Rosemary Gin Martini, the Winter Warmer, which is their secret spiced rum recipe with some winery Merlot, as well as some triple sec and a splash of club soda. Also, their Night King, they have the Griswold. I'm already intrigued by that. And also a Ciderita, a winter margarita with apple cider and a sugared rim. Just to name a few. So that is delicious on its own. Plus, we are a week away from the next bottle release, the Karl the Great, that Russian Imperial Stout, this time aged in Jack Daniel's barrels. Oh, yeah, that bottle release is 1 week from today, and something tells me that at 1:01 I will be flooring it on over there. Just a hunch.
Just a little.
Just a hunch.
A hypothesis.
Yeah. Don't forget some of the other weekly features, including Sunday Bloody Marys and Bloody Flights, as well as Brews from noon to 5. Tuesdays, you've got Jackbox.tv on the big screen, free to play from your cell phone. Wednesdays, Quizzo from the Dark Side with bartender Reese. How have we not attended that and teamed up? We got to make that happen.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I know I know why you won't. Obviously, you're almost, well, even if you were of age, we'll have you the designated driver and I'll be the designated thinker.
I did one time because I thought it was open mic that night, but the first time I participated, I did get a lot of it substantially correct. I wasn't like a master, but I did pretty darn well.
Oh, well, by our powers combined, there will be victories galore. All right.
And the broken goblet.
Thursdays have the house musician Mike Estabrook. He has tunes in Estabingo, which can help you win chances at a quarterly jackpot. Fridays, you have live music from a variety of acts, and Saturdays are a hodgepodge of events, and they certainly are entertaining and delicious ones, including, well, today, how can I forget? It is a frickin' awesome Saturday where there's the Gyroscopes and Infrared IPA in the cask, and it's brewed on mango and strawberry. Oh, that does sound... Even for the sweetness of the mango and strawberry takes the edge off of the bite that would be the IPA, so that should be rather interesting. And tonight at 8 o'clock, live music from Chris and CJ from the Seven Band. So just a few reasons why it's always a good time at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. Broken Goblet Brewing, the semi-official brewery of Pro Wrestling Weekly. Please enjoy responsibly. Coming back, you're going to stick around for the other side here till we get to your favorite segment. We may even do it a little bit early if you have to rush out, just so we don't...
I actually have to rush out now. I'm sorry.
No!
I know.
Alrighty, well, have fun at the party, and we'll get into more stuff on the other side, and we'll figure out something in your absence here as far as the usual deal here. But appreciate you joining in, and thank you so much. And we'll hopefully have you in studio next week? ?
I don't know.
We'll chalk you down for a highly unlikely. Gotcha. He is staring daggers through me at the phone, I can tell.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair assumption.
All right, Lucas, thanks so much. Greatly appreciated. We'll catch you next week. All righty, we'll take care of some business here and come back with some more news, notes, today in wrestling history and birthdays and all the other stuff here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
This is the Gator, the big boss with the big house sauce, Jerry Blavitt. And it's that time of the year when we welcome in the holiday season along with the sensational Soul Cruisers at Chicky and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Come on, let's turkey try.
Wednesday, November the 21st, starting at 8 p.m. Get there early, enjoy the food, and then dance the night away as we celebrate Thanksgiving and the opening of the holiday season at Chicky and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
It's the Geeter and the Soul Cruisers at Chicky and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
All commentators heard on WBCB express their own views. Their opinions are not necessarily those of others on WBCB, including the staff and management.
I'm Henry Carpenter, a certified elder law attorney.
And I'm Sarah Floyd, Henry's Director of Care Advocacy.
On behalf of all of us here at Bucks County Elder Law, Sarah and I would like to wish you a very happy holiday season.
And a prosperous, healthy new year.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, December 1st. On this date in 1993, the WWF held a house show at the Philadelphia Arena. In the main event, Stan Stasiak pinned Pedro Morales to win the WWF World Heavyweight title, ending Morales' nearly 3-year reign. On this date in 1997, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Knoxville, Tennessee. In the main event, Diamond Dallas Page defeated Kurt Hennig by disqualification. On this date in 2003, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Sacramento, California. In the main event, Goldberg, Rob Van Dam, and Shawn Michaels defeated Batista, Kane, and Randy Orton in a 6-man tag team match. On this date in 2014, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. In the main event, Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, and John Cena defeated Kane, Luke Harper, and Seth Rollins in a 6-man tag team match. This has been Today in Wrestling History, December 1st.
You are listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Dairy.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Dairy here with you. Lucas having finished his cameo, at least for this week. And let's get into the last little bits of things here as we're, rapidly approaching the end here. So, sideline WWE star Roman Reigns appeared at the Georgia Tech against Georgia football game last Saturday in Athens, Georgia, and delivered a brief message that his alma mater placed on their Twitter page.
I'm the real big dog here. To hell with Georgia, baby.
Well, Georgia proved that it was indeed their yard as the number 4 ranked Georgia Bulldogs bested Roman's Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 45-21 last week. But football trash talk aside, it's good to see that Reigns is looking good and feeling good enough to attend the game. As you may know, the former WWE Universal Champion currently on medical hiatus from WWE while battling leukemia. Oof. Also, WWE has announced that the annual Tribute to the Troops special will be held this coming Tuesday, December 4th at Fort Hood, Texas. WWE previously held the event at Fort Hood in 2010, and no word as of yet as to when the event will broadcast, but usually it's during the week leading up to Christmas. We'll see how that goes as far as the USA Network programming and lineup and things of that nature. Also, WWE has signed independent wrestling standout Walter, also known as Walter Hahn, according to Mike Johnson of PWInsider.com. Now, WWE has not officially confirmed the news as of yet. Walter has wrestled throughout Europe, Japan, and North America, most notably for West Side Extreme Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and Progress Wrestling, where he is currently the Progress World Champion. Now, there's been additional talk, or I should say talk of additional NXT territories similar to the NXT UK model that we've seen over the course of the past year by the end of 2020. So if one of those territories is in Germany, Walter could be a key piece as he hails from neighboring Vienna, Austria. So stay tuned for that one. Also, next week we'll get into the TLC lineup a little bit more. Already 9 matches set up for the pay-per-view, which is just a couple of weeks away here. And a little something on the interesting side as far as from the not playing nicely department. Evolve issued a public statement yesterday regarding the situation with Impact Wrestling pulling the LAX tag team from a pair of Evolve events next month. The statement reading in part, quote, Evolve officials were contacted by LAX and informed that they were needed for something else that weekend. No other explanation was given. Impact Wrestling didn't contact Evolve officials and left it up to LAX. There is no heat on LAX as WWN understands the situation they were put in. Evolve officials had told LAX that the plan was to have matches with Evolve Tag Team Champions the Street Profits of Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins that weekend. Evolve was informed that LAX would not be able to lose in those matches. In order to avoid any political issues, Evolve made one night a triple threat match and the other night a six-man tag. This would give the fans the LAX versus Street Profits matches they wanted while protecting all parties politically. Unfortunately, Impact Wrestling waited until the matches were announced and then pulled the talent the next day. This all could have easily been avoided by not allowing LAX to take the dates in the first place, end quote. Now, Evolve also added that it will no longer book Impact Wrestling talent, stating, quote, Evolve will no longer consider booking Impact Wrestling contracted talent moving forward. The challenges of having your cake and eating it too. And finally, the tease continues as this coming Wednesday, we will move one step closer to once again hearing those famous words.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the XFL.
That's right. The 8-team locations and venues will be announced for the re-inaugural season, I guess, in 2020 for the XFL. Alrighty, I believe, well, that just leaves us one thing to do. Almost like our alma mater, as Chuck Berry sang about in that 1972 chart topper. So let's go to the pre-recorded Lucas for the time for
birthdays.
Ted's favorite. He loves it. As you can hear from the laughter in the background. All right, we've got 2 plus 5 Brucey bonuses today. On this date in 1983, James Goins was born, the local independent wrestler and good friend of Pro Wrestling Weekly here, as well as host of the Wrestle Rock podcast, better known as Corey Castle, turns 35 today. Yeah, he first came onto the show, as a little background for Ted here. He actually, a few years ago, had major brain surgery and was out of the ring for the better part of a year. He was initially told he'd never wrestle again, but he was able to come back and is working events to this day. Yeah, so always a good story, and I mean, Corey's been a fantastic guy, and going back, even though he's a couple of years younger than I am, he actually graduated from the same high school as I did, so a little bit of a connection there. Go to Chamonix. And on this date in 1987, Andrew Caleb Mogul was born, the former Monster Factory student and infamously eccentric guest on here on the program, better known simply as Bender, turns 31 today. Yes, the name still brings a slight spike in pulse to Ted when he was running the board here on those factory remotes. And for the Brucey bonuses, 5 things outside of the world of professional wrestling. On this date in 1935, Alan Stewart Konigsberg was born. The 4-time Academy Award-winning writer and director known for works including Annie Hall, Manhattan, and Crimes and Misdemeanors, better known as Woody Allen, turns 83 today. On this date in I did a bit of a math thing there as I'm looking. That should be 1945. Bette Midler was born. The Emmy, Grammy, and Tony Award-winning singer and songwriter known for hit songs including The Rose, Wind Beneath My Wings, and From a Distance turns 73 today.
The Divine Miss M.
The Divine Miss M. On this date in 1970, Jonathan Colton was born, the singer and songwriter known for his songs about geek culture, including creating the songs Still Alive and Want You Gone for video games Portal and Portal 2, respectively. He turns 48 today. There we go. 2 straight weeks of Portal references. And on that same date in 1970, Sarah Kate Silverman was born, the Emmy Award-winning comedian, actress, producer, and writer from Saturday Night Live and the Sarah Silverman program on Comedy Central. She turns 48 as well. And finally, on this date in 1986, Deshaun William Jackson was born, the NFL wide receiver who played for the Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Redskins, and currently for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and responsible about 8 years ago for the miracle at the New Meadowlands, leading the Eagles to a comeback victory over the New York Giants, returning a punt for a touchdown in the last play of the game. He turns 32 today. That's going to do it for us here. Ted Efaw next. He's got the Country Roads Memory Spotlight here on BCB.
1 o'clock and all's well.
Celebrating 60 years of broadcasting excellence. We're 1490 WBCB.